Today I want to show you a few different ways that you can harvest your delicious kitchen garden salad. Sound delicious? I think so. All right, my name is Nicole Burke and I'm kind of in love with growing my own salad. In fact, I would have a garden if all I could have is salad. I don't really need anything else. These beds have been so productive for me this season. This is June 1st. These beds were planted from seed with this Rocky Top lettuce blend from Baker Creek. And I've harvested from these plants again and again. And today I just want to show you a couple different ways you can harvest your lettuce plants. I find with my Rooted Garden clients and some of our Kitchen Garden Academy students that even when they're having a lot of success in the garden, there's kind of a fear sometimes around harvesting because you're afraid you're going to maybe like mess up the plants. Well, the good thing to know about growing lettuce is pretty hard to mess up your lettuce plants, but I do want to show you how you can harvest to have more production and how you could harvest to kind of tell the plant you're done with it and that's all you want. So first, let's start with the simplest, earliest way that I like to harvest my lettuce greens. So as soon as these plants start to grow, I have a neighbor actually who's growing greens for the first time and she's like, when can I harvest them? And I'm like, you can harvest them at any point. So lettuces and greens are harvestable right away. I mean, when they're this little, you can eat them. Even when they're smaller than that, they're basically like microgreens or sprouts. And all parts of the lettuce plant are edible, and that green is edible from the very beginning. So there's never a time when it's too early, honestly, to harvest a lettuce green, as long as it's big enough for you, if you're happy with it. So if I'm doing like a little sprout salad, I could harvest the greens when they're this tiny. And if I'm doing a big massive salad, I can harvest them when the leaves are much larger. But I'll show you kind of the progression I go through as the lettuce plants mature. So when a plant first starts to leaf out for me, as soon as a plant probably has like 6 leaves, then I'll start to harvest a few of the leaves. So I'm going to get down here and show you. Usually I come out here with like my salad spinner or a strainer, something like this, that's going to kind of let some of the dirt through if there's any dirt on the leaves, and then allow me to rinse this pretty quickly when I get inside. So when the leaves first start to form and I'm ready, I'm like dying for a fresh garden salad. Now these are obviously much more mature, so we're much past that stage. But basically I would come into a plant and just harvest the lower outer leaves. So I would cut, say, 1 leaf at a time. And I'm usually pretty careful not to cut too much of the plant at once because the plants are just starting to form. I want them to continue to photosynthesize, and I don't want to take too much from any one plant. So that's the very first way to harvest your lettuce leaves, and that's literally 1 leaf at a time from the outer and lower leaves. So the outer and lower leaves, if you've been watching my stuff for a while, you know this. I talk about this a lot. Your outer and lower leaves of your greens are always your oldest leaves. And so you're going to be taking, the older part of the plant, you're going to be giving more energy to the inside of the plant. And it's just the best thing to harvest when you're cutting. So that's the first stage. When I first start to get lettuce greens, I cut 1 leaf at a time from the outer lower leaves. Now it feels pretty slow at that point, but generally I'm so glad to have fresh greens that I honestly don't care too much. So that is the first method, is just 1 leaf at a time, just cutting from the outer lower leaves, and make a salad, come back, do the same thing the next day. Generally never harvesting more than 1/3 of the plant at a time. And you can kind of judge, especially as the plants are starting to mature, I'll kind of judge, all right, like that plant needs some more time to grow. I don't want to harvest from it. So that's the first step. The second step, as things really start to fill in, I do what I call the ponytail chop. So instead of harvesting 1 leaf at a time, I'll kind of harvest higher up on a plant and grab it like a ponytail. So this is actually several different plants together as one, but I'm gonna hold it together and I just kind of chop. I don't go all the way down because I can see the younger leaves here, but I just literally cut across like that and take a handful of leaves all at once. Now, I don't do this all the way at the base because, as you can see, there's new leaves that are forming here in the center, the hearts of these plants. So I try to leave a good 2, 3, 4 inches below where I cut so that the new leaves can start to come up. So if you've ever watched like a farmer, they generally will like kind of mow down lettuces, and generally they'll leave, if they want to get new growth, they'll leave 3 or 4 inches for that new growth to come up. And generally they might get 2 cuttings, 3 cuttings from one set of plants. So those are the first 2 ways. So first is a little leaf at a time. Next is my ponytail method. I have 3 daughters, so very used to doing ponytails. And then finally is where I just literally cut the entire head. Now I have to be honest, I do this very rarely, mostly because I generally just like taking small cuttings and leaving the plants to grow on their own. But when you take the whole head at once, you're basically gonna stop the growth of that plant. So if you see this gorgeous red lettuce, it's actually starting to show signs of bolting. So it's got a pretty thick mid-center. And when that happens, that's a good inch wide center there. So that's a sure sign this plant is getting ready to bolt. And you can see how the leaves are starting to form like kind of more of a floret. So I'm gonna go down to the base of this plant. There's a lot of plants in here, so I don't know if you can even see. But I'm gonna go down to the base, and this is pretty thick. So I'm actually, instead of scissors, I'll use my hori-hori, and I'm just, let me see if I can make it so you can actually see in here. I'm gonna cut the entire head at once. Now when I do that, that's pretty much going to end the growth of this entire plant. It's pretty much done. It is done. So there's not gonna be new growth off that base. I'll leave the base just so to preserve the microbes and the soil that's been developing there. But here I get all the leaves at once. Now I'm not gonna eat this. I'll still basically take the leaves off one by one, but you know, this is a way to cut very simply. So if you're growing more for heads of lettuce, this is the method you'd use, where you simply just come in and cut the entire head off at once. So that's the progression of cutting lettuces. So first you do a leaf at a time, outside to inside. Then you do the ponytail method, and then you can do the entire head all at once. The first will get the most growth to continue. You can be able to come back to plants really every few days to harvest more leaves. The second method, the ponytail method, you're gonna take more like a week or 2 for that whole plant to recover and grow some more. And the third is basically saying sayonara. Is that how you say goodbye? Saying goodbye to the plant for the season when you cut it in its entirety. So 3 ways to harvest salad plants from your kitchen garden. I hope this inspires you. If you aren't growing lettuce yet, you absolutely have to. I have tons of resources on growing your own salad garden, including a huge ebook that shows you the step-by-step to set up a salad garden and grow your own greens. So you can check out the link to that in the description below this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.